What's up, everybody? Hey, it's great to be back. Welcome to Coffee with Steve. I've got my coffee today, my mug I bought for myself from Spencer's Gifts, and we're going to be answering your questions today. If I've not met you before, my name's Steve Huber. I've been in home improvement for 15 years. My teams have won a ton of awards. We've sold over $2 billion worth of solar, roofing, HVAC, fences, energy storage, and now windows and doors, which is pretty dang cool. So we every week we get readers' questions together and basically just try and help you guys build a better company. And so if you want to have your question answered, go to billiondollarcontractor.com/questions, and you guys can submit a question right there. We do the show every week, and we'll make sure that we get you answered. Today I own a company called Billion Dollar Contractor, and our goal is to help build awesome contractors. So we do that through programs, one-on-one coaching, consulting. We partner with some of the biggest names in the industry. So Owens Corning, Sunlight, Subcontractor Hub, Solar Insure, plus many more. So if you guys have a question you want us to help you answer, just send it on over, and what do you know? Maybe I'll pick you up one day. All right, let's jump right into it. I want to start with Anthony. Anthony is the owner of a solar installer in San Diego. Says, hey, a lot of my customers are asking whether buying a solar system or going to the PPA makes more sense. From your experience, what's the best way to break that down for homeowners? So, being that you're an installer, I'm assuming that you're maybe not constantly working in the sales side. And so let's break it down, okay? So there's traditionally been a lot of ways that people go solar, but I guess a couple big ones. You could either buy the system, like pay cash for it. You could get a loan out to pay for the system instead of you writing a check. You could do that, whether that's like through a credit union or your home line of credit, HELOC, something like that. You could also do what's called a PPA or a lease. Now, if you guys don't know, a PPA or lease stands for Power Purchase Agreement. And basically, you're just buying electricity from the solar system that it makes. So if it makes 1,000 kilowatt hours a month, you're going to buy all 1,000 kilowatt hours a month at a set and predetermined price per kilowatt hour. Very much the same way that you buy electricity today from the power company for a fixed price per kilowatt hour. So let's just break all those down real quick. And I'll give you my take on which one I like best. So first off, owning a system, like writing a check, is, like most things in life, the best way to pay the absolute lowest amount for your solar system, because there's no interest, there's no loan, there's no financing, there's no points basically that you pay to finance the project. It's like if you can pay cash for your house, do it. Like, that'd be great, right? You're gonna finance that, pay cash. You won't have to pay interest on your home. You can pay your car cash. You can buy your solar system cash. That's terrific. Go for it. It's a great way to do it. Now, there is a federal tax credit that ends at the end of this year that goes away, and it's a 30% federal tax credit, and it applies to homeowner-owned systems. So whether you're going to pay cash or get a loan out for that, that tax credit goes away this year. And in San Diego, honestly, your window is probably closed. The system has to be installed this year and placed into service this year. And in San Diego, I've done a ton of work down there. It is hard. It takes just some time to get permits and go through the process. Every company is different. Every house is unique. But for the vast majority of homes, the ship has kind of sailed in San Diego on that tax credit. Now, it still makes sense to buy a solar system in San Diego because your price for electricity is super expensive. In San Diego right now, I want to say it's like 50 cents a kilowatt hour. And if you buy a solar system, even without the tax credit, you're probably looking at like 14 cents a kilowatt hour lifetime cost. Okay. So it's significantly cheaper to just buy your solar system in San Diego. It still makes sense. Now, PPA is great for people that either can't qualify for that tax credit, which again is going to be everyone here in just a minute, or you don't want to take out a loan and borrow money. So there's actually a lot of business owners that go with the PPA because they don't want to have a loan sitting on their books, and they can use the cash for other things. So if you don't have the cash to write a check and you don't want to take a loan out, PPA is a great way to go. It's still, I think today, probably the most popular way that people go solar because it's so dang easy. It's like instead of buying electricity from The power company, you can buy electricity from your solar panels, okay? And that's it. You have a PPA today. You have a power purchase agreement with, in your case, it's SDG&E, with SDG&E to buy electricity, and we're just going to shift it from SDG&E to you buying electricity through a PPA for solar panels that are on your home. Clean energy, it's not going to go up all the time. You have some assurances there for a rate hike. All right, let me tell you which one I like the best and how I would sell it. And I just want to caveat this with, I've sold, literally hundreds of millions of dollars in PPAs and leases and cash purchases. Total solar volume for me is north of $1 billion. And those are the big three ways that people go solar. So I've probably sold $500 million in each one of those lines. Or I should say my teams have. So I like them all, okay? It's whichever option's best for your customer. If your customer can afford to pay cash, have them pay cash. If your customer wants to own the system, they want it to be theirs, but they can't afford to pay cash, sell them a loan. If they just want to lower their power bill and they don't want to have to take out a loan, they don't want to have to maintain equipment, they don't want to have to be responsible for owning something, which has its own problems, a PPA is terrific. Purely from a sales standpoint, I probably like PPAs the best. And the reason is that it offers the least resistance to my customer to save money. And I believe that salespeople's number one job is to help make it easy for a customer to do business with us. Make it easy for a customer to say yes. And if I have to think about those three options through that lens, is it easy for a customer to write me a $50,000 check? Emotionally, that's a big decision. Is it easy for them to take out a $50,000 loan? Again, it's a very emotional decision. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of money that they have to sign off for. Is it easy to say, instead of paying 50 cents a kilowatt hour, you can pay 20 cents a kilowatt hour? Yeah, that's pretty dang easy. There's a very low mental barrier that I have to get somebody over, an emotional barrier to get them over with a PPA versus a purchase. I like the fact that there's nothing to maintain. There's nothing to repair. They don't even own the system. So if it breaks, somebody else is going to have to take care of it. Which is great. Again, if think about it, again, you have a PPA today with your power company, and when the power line goes down, SDG&E doesn't send you out a ladder and a repair kit and say, go ahead and repair the power line. No, they take care of it. Why do they do that? Because they want to sell you more electricity. And if you have a PPA in place, the solar company wants to sell you more electricity. So if something breaks, they're going to come out and they're going to take care of it. There's nothing for you to maintain. There's nothing for you to buy. There's no loans for you to take out. You literally just buy your electricity at a cheaper price per kilowatt hour. Now, I'd be off if I didn't talk about escalators with PPAs. What an escalator is that price per kilowatt hour can either remain flat for usually 25 years, or it can go up slightly over time. Usually 2.99% is a pretty common escalator. And a lot of solar reps will get into the habit of saying, I can't pitch an escalator, or I don't feel right pitching an escalator, and I want my customer to have a flat price per kilowatt hour for 25 years. So what that means is that if the price per kilowatt hour in your PPA is 20 cents, it will be 20 cents day one, and it will be 20 cents in day 900. Like, it'll be the same 20 cents 15 years from now that it is today. And they do that because they're coming from a loan or purchase world where they're used to pitching a flat locked-in payment. But the reality is 95% of PPAs, and I'm telling you this as somebody that's worked, I work with a lot of finance companies, 95% of PPAs sold on the market today are sold with an escalator. And it's because most customers want to save as much money day one as they can. And so just for simple explanation purposes, let's say a fixed price per kilowatt hour is 20 cents, and it's going to stay that same way for 25 years, or it starts at 15 cents and it goes up 2.9% per year. At some point, your rate will go beyond 20 cents a kilowatt hour. Usually it's going to be 10 or 11 years in. However, the actual total cost that you pay in breaks even usually about year 19 because you paid less for those first 10 years. And so it takes time for your total cumulative payments to actually catch up and have that break even. So Here's how I explain it to a customer. Today, you're paying 50 cents a kilowatt hour. Again, in SDG&E, you guys use whatever it is that you would like, wherever it is that you're at. You're paying 50 cents a kilowatt hour. Let's just say it's 25. You're paying 25 cents a kilowatt hour. And your rates are going up 6% per year. If the power company called you today and said, instead of paying 25 cents, you could pay 15 cents. And instead of your rate going up 6% per year, it would go up 2.9% per year. Would you sign up for the new rate plan? The answer is yeah, of course I would. Who wouldn't want to pay 40% less and have the rates go up half as much? By the way, guaranteed to never go up more than 2.9% per year, right? It's about how we word it. So, would you want to pay 40% less and have your rate go up half as much? Of course you would. That's what we do. That's what a PPA is. We're locking in your price per electricity 40% lower than what it is today, and the rates are not going to go up more than 2.9% per year. If that sounds good through your power company, you might as well do it through solar panels on your roof. Nothing to buy, nothing to take care of, nothing to maintain. You just pay less, and if something breaks, we come out, we fix it for free. There's nothing you have to worry about. By the way, tax credit for PPA remains in effect through the end of next year. However, it's not going to the homeowner, it goes to the bank, because the homeowner doesn't actually own the equipment. Think about it as if your power company got a grant to install more power lines to low-income neighborhoods, let's say, those low-income neighborhoods don't get the money directly. They go to the power company to help support paying for the program. And so another way that you could word this is like, hey, the government actually sponsors and helps pay for some of the system through government programs. They're available for you now. And we can basically cut your rate down 40%. Rate increases go up half as much. And there's nothing you have to do other than sign paperwork, put solar panels on your roof, and just agree to buy electricity at that new lower rate than what you're paying today. All right, Anthony, that was a great question. I hope that made sense for you guys. Again, sell your customer what it is that they are after. So often I see salespeople that either don't take control at all, they try and lob everything out to their customer, or they don't make a recommendation. Okay, it's okay to make a recommendation based on what your customer's needs are. And in fact, again, you're making it easy for your customer to do business and easy for them to buy with you. Okay. If your customer has no idea what they want to do and you don't know how to ask good questions and you're like, hey, I just need one product to lead with. I need one product to structure everything around. I like PPAs. Super simple, very low emotional barrier. And there's many, many, many customers out there that are very happy with PPAs. So go with the PPA. It's a great product. All right, cool. Thank you, Anthony. All right, Linda from Portland. Hey, Portland, Oregon, my neck of the woods up here. Runs an family-owned HVAC business with solar. And for contractors like us, should we prioritize growth first or profitability first? And how do you think about that balance? That is a very good question. All right. We can't, by the way, Linda, I'm super happy to see that you were in HVAC and solar. I'd probably, at some point, really recommend you get into roofing to kind of bridge those gaps. Here's why. HVAC, super fast product. Usually you're talking a day or two to get in. It pairs really well with solar because you're using the number one usage of electricity in a home, most of the time, is your HVAC system. And so you have people that are running their HVAC a lot, need HVAC work. By the way, Portland is a blowing up market for HVAC because it's getting hotter and nobody has HVAC there. So a smart move. And then you're saying, hey, we're going to start using more electricity, which means your bill's going to go up, which means we could use solar to bring it down. But HVAC goes in within a couple days, solar's a couple months, roofing's a couple weeks. So I like roofing in there because it's kind of a nice bridge as our customer got their HVAC system in. They're waiting for solar. We can get roofing in there. And you'll find, especially up where you're at, it rains a lot, super windy. You have a lot of customers that you probably work with that need a new roof, that are going to put a new roof up there anyways. And I think as a solar company, you have an obligation to help people with their roof as well. So we have a 30-day roofing launch challenge that we're getting ready to launch with Owens Corning and a couple other big partners. It's going to help walk you through how to start a roofing company. So go to billiondollarcontractor.com if you want to check it out. And we got all the details there for you. All right. So her question was, hey, growth first or profitability first? Look, growing is super expensive. It's one of those things that most people just don't factor in. It costs a lot of money to grow a company, and there's a lot of reasons for it. But the big ones are you got to market. Like you actually have to just market and talk to more people and get your message out there more than you are today, which is expensive. You either do it through content, running ads, knocking on doors, cold outreach, email systems, automations and efficiencies, and all that costs cash. Like it's new stuff that you have to do to grow a company, and it just costs money. You're also going to be, again, inefficient at it. You're not going to be good at your email automation campaigns. You're not going to be good at running ads. You're not going to be good at hiring people. And that just comes with the turf. And honestly, you shouldn't be that good. I see so many owners that they try and compare their buddy that's been doing something for 10 years and say, well, gosh, he's getting these great numbers. I'm going to do that day one. And it's an admirable goal. Like nobody wants to admit that they're going to suck out the gate, but you are. He's had 10 years of refinement that went into that process. You don't. You got 10 minutes of refinement. And so you just need to be aware that it's going to hurt when you grow before you see any of the gains that come from that. And it doesn't matter if you're growing HVAC, solar, roofing, fences. It just doesn't matter. Whether you want to go into a new state. So let's say you said, hey, I want to go to Seattle. Should I go to Seattle first, or should I be profitable first? You're going to lose a bunch of money when you go into Seattle. Like that first 6 months is going to hurt. You're going to buy you got an office, you got to staff it, you got to get equipment. Like there's this investment that happens that costs money. And if you think back to when you very first started your company, you had some cost that you had to take on to just get things going. It's called seed money. And any new growth project needs some seed capital to really do it well. Okay. Now, it's not to say that you can't bootstrap and you can't get more efficient over time. You certainly should. But if you're asking me if you should invest in growth or you should try and invest in getting profitable, profitability is number one, always. We can't afford to grow a company that's not profitable. Like, what's the point? Your efficiency is not going to go up. It's not going to get easier. And as somebody that's managed, some very large teams across lots of states and territories, the complexity is intense. So anyways, I would focus on your profitability. And the best way to focus on profitability is we call it a weekly scorecard. And we go through it with all of our clients, and it basically is just breaking down your numbers every week so you understand where you're hitting, where you're missing, what's going well, what's not going well, so that you can actually make good decisions. So many times owners are running around putting out fires that they're not actually working on the things that are going to move the needle forward and change the business. And just getting your data in front of you is one of those things that makes it really obvious where you should be focusing your time and attention. And so if you're not profitable today, you probably have some big hole in your process somewhere that's leaking a bunch of money. Let me give you kind of some big ones, okay? Number one is that your cost to acquire a customer is super high. And we call this funnel problems. And so if you were to look at how many leads come in, how many of those leads you get a hold of, how many of those contacts turn into appointments, how many of those appointments show up, how many of those appointments close, how many of those closes stick, like they don't cancel, how many do you ultimately build, all that stuff. So you just literally start all the way up here at lead and start writing down the numbers for the funnel overall. And I'd say most contractors do not have a good arm around that. And it's one of the things that we start with in all of our clients one-on-one work is like we just start with numbers. And 90% of the time, we put the scorecard out in front of people. And priority number one comes just getting measurements in place, like being able to track our actual numbers so we know that we were working on the right things instead of just hopefully working on the right things by guessing all the time. So get your numbers in place, okay? And just start breaking things down and looking for those big fall-offs and seeing where those big gaps hit, okay? That's probably going to be a big one for you. The next one is your operational efficiency. When we sell a job, are we actually selling it profitably? and delivering and executing on it in a profitable way. I've got clients that miss on all these things. So I had a company the other day, for example, they came in, they're like, hey, we need more leads. We broke down their funnels and their scorecards, and turned out they didn't need more leads. They were hyper inefficient with the leads that they already had coming in. And so we needed to work on that. Like, more leads was just going to compound the loss. We were going to lose more money because we were already losing money getting the leads in that we had. And so we had to tighten that up. And guess what? Once we fixed it, it was like, wow, now we actually get paid to market. Now we can go market and be profitable at it. Now we get paid to grow, which is pretty dang cool. I had another company, sales is off the charts, leads are coming in left and right, and they're passing things off to their operations team, and operations is completely overwhelmed, and there was no control on sales. So sales is selling a bunch of bad jobs, the operations is having to pick up, and customer experience is horrible, negative reviews left and right. They had a ton of make goods, so basically the customer's upset, we got to write them a check, we got to give them something for free, and they're bleeding money out because their operations systems suck. And that became like the thing that we needed to work on was, hey, let's fix operations, because all more sales was going to do was amplify the fact that we weren't good at delivering a good product to people. And again, we knew that through data. So get your data down, get your profitability sorted out, and once you got things humming and you got things working the right way, then take that next step. And again, for you guys not knowing much about you, if you want to grow, roofing's a great thing to get into. Your systems are already probably capable of it because you got stuff that goes fast, you got stuff that goes slow. Your teams could probably pick that up and sell it very easily. And it's not more locations. Locations are the hardest things to scale because you got to travel and you're not there and you don't get to see it and touch it and feel it. And when there's a problem, it's hard to get to. So Portland's a great market. Awesome for HVAC, solar. Again, roofing's a no-brainer, I think, for you guys. And I'd go there. So get profitable, then grow. All right. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. All right. Next one is Maria. She owns a roofing and remodeling company in Tampa. And she says, where do you see the biggest opportunities for contractors over the next 5 years? Roofing, solar, HVAC, or something else entirely? All right. So, great question, Maria. So Maria does roofing and remodeling in Tampa. Roofing in Tampa is probably going to be what's called insurance work. So this is where a big storm comes through, damages the roof, and you're basically out helping facilitate insurance claims. There is a massive shift right now where people are getting out of insurance work and into what's called retail. And that is where you're not reliant on the insurance company to write a check. Your homeowner finances the roof or they pay cash, but they buy it privately and then they can go deal with the insurance company however they want. I think for you, Maria, that's a no-brainer. Like, start there. And the reason I like getting out of insurance work for roofing companies, we control our cash flow. We can still market the same ways, but we're not having to deal with insurance companies. Insurance companies are getting really hard to work with. Deductibles are going up. The timelines are getting dragged out. And it's why everybody's trying to leave. Roofing companies are getting put out of business left and right because of insurance work. Now, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, insurance work was great. So you probably have somebody in your market, in your network, that you're like, wow, Mike crushes insurance work. Yeah, he may. But it's significantly harder than just straight retail work. So I try and really tone that in and get that worked in for you. Okay. Remodeling. I, from a sales and marketing standpoint, don't love the term remodeling because it kind of means that you do everything. So I'd much rather have you be a roofing and HVAC company or roofing and solar company than remodeling. Unless that's what you want to do. Do bathrooms, do kitchens, do something. But general remodeling is hard. Do you do flooring? Do you do walls? Do you do plumbing? Do you do electrical? Do you do kitchens, bathrooms, decks, siding? Like, all those things kind of fall into that general remodeling bucket, and you feel kind of like everybody else. Okay, so take that for what it's worth. All right, solar in Florida is bumping right now. It is one of the hottest states in the country for solar. It's a massive opportunity. Tampa's a great market. I've actually personally built teams in Tampa that crushed it. Tampa's an awesome market for solar. So what I would say is get your roofing. Make sure that you're in retail roofing. Super easy switch for you. but it's a mentality difference. And then if you wanted to add more products in, start adding solar in and get out of this general remodeling business. I think every contractor I've ever seen that goes from general remodeling to very specific niche remodeling does better. So what I would do there is get with your team and say, hey, let's look at all the projects that we took on. What are the ones that sucked? Like, what are the ones that we don't like? And there's probably going to be a common theme here. We hate doing kitchens because the customers are super demanding and it's all high touch and it's just so hard to systematize and we hate kitchens. Our team's just not good at it. Stop doing kitchens, all right? But get your offer down for your remodeling, get into retail roofing, and again, solar wouldn't be a bad thing to do out there. Tons of infrastructure for solar. So even if you don't want to build the solar projects yourself, even if you don't know anything about solar, there's lots of ways that you can just sell those customers and let somebody else go build it. You can also go the flip side, which is you actually build it and somebody else sells it, or you just go all vertically integrated, okay? But you're already on the roof. You've already got the infrastructure to do that. I think you're in a great spot. So that's probably where I'd begin. Just start with getting into retail, get your business plan down, and then make a decision on if you want to go into solar. HVAC, I would not recommend for you right now. And here's why. HVAC process-wise is the hardest one to execute. If you think about it, especially where you're at in Tampa, if somebody's air conditioner goes out today, they want it installed tomorrow. They don't want to wait 2 months for that air conditioner to go in. And most general contractor, especially kind of in what you do, most companies like that are not set up process-wise to turn jobs over that fast. It's the hardest process-wise to facilitate. So many contractors get like wide-eyed. They're like, oh my gosh, HVAC's amazing. I hear the margins are awesome. It's super easy to sell. I've got some incredibly motivated buyer. And yeah, that's all true. But it's also the hardest to facilitate process-wise. And I'm telling you this from experience. When I first launched HVAC at one of my companies, it was like the very first time that I did it. We went from like 0 HVAC sales to maybe like 20 in 1 month. And 20 is a lot. And then operations, was doing okay. And then I did like 80. And then I did like 150. In fact, we won the award for fastest growing HVAC company through Samsung, which was super cool. But honestly, we didn't deliver a good experience. And the problem that happened was we had people that were upset by their HVAC experience. In our mind, we were like, hey, we're rocking it. We're building these things in like a week. But in the customer's mind, a week without an air conditioner was not acceptable. They needed it in like the next day. And so we sell the job, customers calling us every day, boom, 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 boom. And they're getting like burnt out on us and our reputation. And they started canceling their roofs and they started canceling solar. And it was like a bad deal. Okay. So it not only has to execute quickly from a process standpoint, but you have to execute it well because you have other products that are coming behind it. And if you don't execute it well, you'll lose those deals. And so we eventually had to like pull HVAC way in and it just became ops process. Super easy product to sell, super difficult product process-wise to facilitate. So if you're not there yet, I wouldn't focus on it. Okay, just know that that's going to come with the turf of HVAC, and you have to be prepared for that. It is all operations process based, and it's not easy. It's a beast. Okay, all right, cool, Maria. Thank you so much. I appreciate you reaching out. Just again, if you guys want, if you have questions for your business, you'd like my help breaking it down, billiondollarcontractor.com/questions, and super simple form. You just put your name, a little bit about you, and hopefully I'll pick you up and we'll have you part of the show. All right, we got Mark in Phoenix. He says, "Hey Steve, I run a roofing and solar company." He's the owner. Looking back at your career, what's one lesson you had to learn the hard way that you want guys like me to avoid? Wow, there's a lot. And it's hard to say because I don't know where you're at, like what stage you're at, okay? But one that sticks with me is I'll kind of go back through my journey, if you will. So when I started off, I actually had a background. I got into sales and insurance and finance, and did super well. Was traveling all over the place, but just kind of like didn't like it. And so I quit and looked up best places to work in Sacramento, which is where I lived at the time. And there was this mortgage company that was getting into solar, and we were selling solar to our mortgage customers. And by the way, that company, that mortgage company, is the loan company GoodLeap today. So if you ever financed a project with GoodLeap, which I think they're the largest home improvement financer in the world at this point, it's amazing. Hayes has grown a phenomenal company, and he's the best entrepreneur I've ever met in my life. He's remarkable. But Hayes got in finance through his mortgage company. Like, that's how Hayes started. And so when we started off, it was like this real grassroots company and full of super hungry people. I look back at some of the people that worked in that environment, and it's incredible. Like, it's a lot of the people that are still in the industry today. Again, you got folks from GoodLeap. You've got Justin from Subcontractor Hub, actually started in the trenches with me selling, which is cool. And we ended up getting bought by a company called Solar City, which kind of then got morphed into Tesla. It was an Elon Musk company. And when Solar City bought us, they became very micromanaged. We went from this like small mom and pop company to all of a sudden this big publicly traded company. And they started micromanaging a lot of our activities. And I remember getting micromanaged on things like talk time and how many outbound emails I made and all these things. And the problem was I was crushing it. Like, I was one of the best salespeople there. I think I broke the record for most sales by like a rookie when I was at Paramount. And all the good people got burnt out really quick because instead of managing to support A players, the culture had morphed to managing D players. Like, it was like, hey, we can't trust people to do good work, so therefore we're going to micromanage everybody. And what ended up happening was all the A players left. And 6 of us went to a company called Peterson Dean and started a brand called Solar for America, which went on to do hundreds of millions of dollars a year worth of solar roofing, HVAC, and fences. And that ended up happening. And so I always think back to that whenever I'm part of team building today, or I'm working with owners to help build teams, or we're just giving advice to folks. You want to make sure that you manage and build a culture that supports A players, not a culture that is designed to manage D players. And in the teams that I built, we focus solely on A players. It was like, we're here to win. We're here to rock. And sales is a scoreboard sport. Like, you have to sell to be in sales. And that's what we're going to manage by. And so I would say, we manage, it's really easy as an owner to try and manage by inputs because you feel like these people owe you a certain amount of work that's required to be done every day. But what really is important is output and managing outputs from folks. And so I'd recommend to you, think about the culture that you want. And I know there's going to be some people that don't agree with this, and that's okay. Think about the culture that you want. Think about the people you want to hire. And if you find yourself constantly making rules for people because they suck at what they do, you probably have the wrong people in the wrong places. And for me, I've always found way more success building amazing cultures for A people as opposed to, again, trying to micromanage D people. So take it for what it's worth. I would say too, like, one of the things that helps control all of that is having real clear goals on where you want to go and what you want to be. And for me, this involved, it's writing things down. It's actually sitting down with your goals and defining them out, and then not throwing them in a drawer and forgetting about them, but like pull them out every week, make that part of your culture to measure against those goals and say, how are we doing? And so often, again, we do this with all of our clients. We'll go through a scorecard, which forces you to measure your goal or put your goal down. And it's like, well, how's it going this week? And it's like, you know what my owners say? It's doing awesome. Like, we had a goal of 20 and we hit 22. Awesome. Great. I don't care if that happened in 30 minutes or if somebody had to work 80 hours a week to do it. We hit our goal. Okay. Obviously, I care if they work 80 hours a week. It's probably unobtainable. Okay. But that's what matters. Like, the output is what matters. And it helps you emotionally regulate things when you have output goals instead of trying to measure input goals. Whereas if I had input goals for my owners and I said, how did it go this week? And they're like, oh, well, great, Steve. We sold nothing and we didn't build any work or collect any cash, but you wouldn't believe how many phone calls we made. It's like, well, that sucks. Like, we actually have to get something done and do that. So anyways, Mark, I'd say just go that route, man. Try those things out. And, there's been a lot of lessons. Gosh, there's so many. Build a great culture, support your people like crazy, be very fair to them, put good goals out there, and just work your butt off to hit those goals. I'd say one more thing. Anything that you are doing today that you look at and say, can I be exceptional at this? And if the answer is no, just stop doing it. There were so many times that I did things out of pure, ego or insecurity. And I felt like I had to do something. In reality, I didn't. And my teams couldn't execute on it well. And all those things came back to bite me. They all sucked. I gave you a story just a second ago about HVAC and launching HVAC and having this ego that I needed to hit this crazy number and ignoring the fact that our team couldn't execute on it well. And it sucked. Like, that was a painful lesson. We had to wind it all the way down. We had to fix all these problems. We had all these pissed off customers. I had salespeople that had lost jobs. Like, it wasn't fun. And then we had to relaunch it and do it right all over again. But I think if I go back and just say, hey, can we be exceptional at delivering a great HVAC experience? And if the answer was no, then I should have said, awesome, then we shouldn't launch this yet until we can deliver that. Okay. Or we certainly launch it much slower and we figure those things out as we go, as opposed to ramping into it as hard as I did. So, all right. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you, buddy. All right. We got Brian. He is a project manager. All right, cool. That was good coffee. With solar and roofing company in Kansas City. Awesome. So technically speaking, what do you see as the biggest mistake contractors make when selling solar? Is it in the design, the financing, or the way they set expectations? Expectations are the number one problem by a mile. Okay, by a mile. It's not even close. In fact, just kind of looking back through, is it the design? If you have problems in selling solar on a design front, that's a software issue. You should be using systems and software that doesn't allow your salespeople to build bad designs. So if they're putting panels off the roof or over the ridge or in the tree, or they eliminated shade structures, or the panel's tilting the wrong way. Back when I started, those were problems. Any modern software fixes all that. So if you are having any design problems today, that is a software issue 100%. Okay, 100%. If you're running into technical stuff from a design standpoint, where every job we sell has, we're needing to do panel upgrades and breaker upgrades, and there's change orders all over the place. That's a sales process problem. And you need to work on sales process and how to systematize that so that it becomes significantly harder for people to sell bad work. I did this at one of my companies. We had, I want to say, like a 70% change order rate, which sucks, which means basically the project stops. You have to go back to the customer and ask for more money. And then they basically have a take it or leave it option in their contract at that point to move forward with a new price or cancel the job, which isn't cool. Super inefficient, terrible customer experience. We wanted to get rid of it. So we worked heavily on sales process. We worked on pricing. We worked on messaging. We worked on contracts, just a whole bunch of stuff. And eventually got that down to like a 5% change order rate. And when that happens, we sell a job and we build the job. Like, it's very rare, 1 in 20, that we need to stop the job for any kind of changes. And so you just think about that from a customer delivery standpoint, like how much faster you can execute, how much more reliable your income is, but just what a better experience it is for your customer. Like, they don't want to stop the job and renegotiate it and have changes. They want to just build things. So sales process is where you need to look at there. Financing. Financing is, most companies have way more finance options than they need. Way more. Like way too many. And I'm all about giving salespeople as many arrows in their quiver as they can. But if you actually looked at the amount of loans that get sold for every company, like, there's a company that I had like 140 loan options and they sold like 4. Like 99% of the business was with 4 loans. It was like, well, why do we even have these other ones here? Like, let's just get really good at these 4 and facilitating these 4 and focus on those. And guess what? Like, financing became so much better because we weren't trying to educate them on 150 loan options. We got really clear and streamlined on 4. Like, we could lean into those 4. We built processes around those 4 and things like that. So financing is another area where sales process really becomes important. And again, there's a million different finance options out there and ways that you can facilitate that. Whatever's working for you, I'd highly recommend building some process around and trying to think, okay, like, if we sold only these 4 loans, how do I eliminate as many speed bumps as I can? I eliminate as many headaches for my customers as I can, and I make it to where when operations picks up the job, there's no changes. Like, we know we've got a good job that we can actually go execute on. Expectations. Like I said, number one thing that is a problem. And this is solar as a whole. And I think some of the big problems that I've seen come out with, and I think, yeah, you said you're in solar and roofing. Okay. Here's the big ones. So for roofing, it's change orders after install. And the way that I found best to solve that problem is a form that we called Project Pulse, which we put into all of our contract stacks that explains the entire roofing process for customers so they know what's going to happen. And they understand that change orders are a part of the process. Like, it's just a part of what happens. And making sure they understand that. We also include language in the contract that talks about things like contract dust and debris. And we're going to do our best to pick up every single nail, but I can't guarantee that one's going to get missed. If you guys have not been part of re-roofing a house before, it's incredibly loud, dusty, noisy, dirty, shitty. It's just one of those projects that just sucks. Like, it is what it is. It's open heart surgery on your house. There's no clean way to do it. And so, I had this one client one time, he complained about how much dust, there was a layer of dust on his pool. Yeah, like, it's dirty. Or how much pollen came off the roof when they tore off the old roof. Imagine how much dust and pollen and dirt and bird crap and all that is sitting on your roof right now. Like, it's been up there probably 15 years. It's dirty as hell. And when you start tearing that thing apart, guess where all that pollen and dust and dirt goes? It goes in the air. And if you have a giant body of water sitting in your backyard, guess what's going to happen? It's going to collect a layer of dust. There's no way to get around that. And so making sure that those things are actually part of your sales process and they're explained clearly to somebody is so much easier than most companies make it seem. And most customers get it. Like, when you just explain it in the way that I explain it, you're like, well, yeah, of course, that makes sense. So Steve, if I have my classic car in the garage that I don't want getting any dust on it and you're going to be ripping the ceiling open in my garage, should I move my classic car? Yeah, it's a pretty good idea. You should probably do that. If you want to make sure 100% that nothing's going to happen to it, don't put that on us. Get out of the garage, okay? Some common sense goes a long way. So expectations in roofing, pretty simple. Change orders after install are the big one. In solar, it's about estimated savings. And a couple ways that you can help prevent this. Number one is make sure your software is locked down. Don't let your sales team go in and manipulate data. They need to have really clear things that are there. They can't delete trees. They can't change utility escalation rates. They can't modify efficiencies of panels. They can't change soiling. They can't do any of that stuff. Okay. Number two, go through and audit your production estimates. So look back at the systems that you installed a year ago. What did they actually produce, and how did it measure up to your contracts? And just see, like, did we as a company set good expectations? Did our software set good expectations? I've had software that I've demoed many times that sucks. Like, the production estimates are too aggressive or they're too low. And those are neither great things. We want to make sure that our software is accurate within our expectations. So a good way to do that is just to audit what actually happened versus what the software in your contract said would happen, and make sure that you're constantly doing that, maybe a couple times a year, so that you know that the stuff that you're actually pitching, the expectations your software is setting, is accurate to begin with. Okay. The other thing I think that a lot of solar companies in general just struggle with is explaining concepts to homeowners. They make it seem very black and white. You're paying this, you're going to pay this. Okay. You're using this, now you're going to use this. And the problem is that when we're trying to forecast what somebody's going to pay for electricity and how much they're going to use, and what all is going to happen for the next 25 years, it is impossible. It's just fundamentally impossible. A great analogy is if I said I was going to drive from San Francisco to New York City, and I pulled up Google Maps and I said, oh, it's going to take 5 days or whatever. And I knew that I had to drive that drive 365 days a year for 25 years. Do I think it's going to take the exact same amount of time every single day for 25 years? Of course not. Sometimes there's going to be car accidents. Sometimes there's going to be snow. Sometimes we got to stop and use the bathroom. One time I may get car sick. There's a million things that can go on. I may have car problems, like there may be a wind and I got to pull over, or the gas mileage isn't efficient. And so what we can do is make our best estimated guess of what's going to happen, but ultimately the real world still has to play itself out. And the concepts of solar will always result in you saving money if it's explained right and if you're doing the right things for your customers. And so it's important for me that our homeowners understand the concepts of how solar work so that they can understand why I can't guarantee exact results. Because again, the reality exists that you're going to use power differently. The sun shines differently. The weather's different. The time of day is different. Like, there's all these things. You're not firing the toaster up at the same exact time every single day for the next 25 years. Those things all exist. So expectations by far, number one. Design, you should have zero design problems. Financing, you should have very little financing problems. And expectations, get the big ones solved and fixed. And again, for solar, I get your concepts in place. Most companies do a very poor job of showing their solar salespeople how to conceptually sell stuff. They make it seem black and white, and unfortunately, it just isn't. All right. Woo. Hold on one sec. We're rolling. What we got here? 50 minutes in. We're moving. All right. We got Sarah. She owns a construction company in Nashville, Tennessee. And, cool. She heard about the 30-day roofing challenge, says it sounds intense. How realistic is it for someone running a busy contracting business to actually pull it off and see results in a month? All right. So, we have a 30-day roofing launch challenge that we're getting ready to put out. She must have heard me talk about it, I think, last week or one of the webinars that I did. We built it for business owners. So it is built for people that are already in construction or contracting and want to add roofing to their business. And we made it super simple. So the way that it works, we broke it down into 6 sections. You get literally an email every day with like a little to-do for the day and where you should be at. But we literally spoon feed it to you. So we partnered with Owens Corning, Subcontractor Hub, Sunlight, and then of course my company, $1 Billion Contractor, and sales process to guide you through the whole thing. So Sarah, even if you were starting at ground zero today and just needed hand-holding, it's there to do. We make it super simple. Most owners like you already have some of the stuff in place, and it's just a couple missing pieces. And so we help put those pieces together for you, show you how to sell roofing, show you how to partner up with people, show you how to get a license, show you where to get your stuff at, how to order it, how to build it, and a lot of it's turnkey. This is not about trying to make you into like a master roofer that's been on the roof for 30 years and knows every roof type in the world. This is how to get started. Like, let's just get going. In full transparency, my goal is not to help you sell 5 roofs. It's to help you sell 500 roofs, but I got to get you to 5 first. And the reason I built the challenge to begin with was there were so many contractors that said, hey, I want to get into roofing. I don't know where to begin. It sounds super complex. I don't have time. I don't even know where to begin. It was like, awesome. Like, I've launched many, many roofing companies in many different states. Let me show you exactly how to do it in a way that's not going to hurt and it's not going to take an incredible amount of time. Okay. Now, with that said, you're starting a new company and a new division, and it's going to suck. And there's going to be things in there that are hard. And there's going to be things that you do have to put focus into. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. And roofing is a hard, legit business. It's a massive industry, though. I think last I saw it was like a $35 billion a year industry. So it's very worth getting into. But you do actually have to put some time and attention into it. We're going to make it as easy for you as I can. Okay? Imagine like you're the chef, and I'm going to be your sous chef. I'm going to give you all your ingredients, all your tools, all that stuff ready to go. You still have to turn on the stove. You got to put the butter in. You got to put the olive oil in. You got to shake it with some garlic, right? We make it as easy for you as we possibly can, but you do still have to put some work in there for you, okay? And we give you an incentive to do it. So if you sell your 5 roofs in 30 days, guess what? Program's free. Like, we literally make it all free for you because I want to see you succeed. If I gave it to you for free with no skin in the game from your end, you wouldn't do anything with it. Like, it just sit there like all the other free programs that are out there. So what we do is we say, hey, it does cost some skin in the game. It's like a deposit, if you will. I want you putting some money in so you actually put attention and effort into it. And then when you hit 5 roofs in 30 days, we give it all back to you so that we can talk about how to go sell 500 roofs and how to be successful long term. So it's a phenomenal program, Sarah. Worked really hard on it. And it's the exact same systems and that I've had to build over the years, selling $400 million worth of roofing. And I've launched roofing companies in Hawaii, California, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, New York. I don't know if I say Colorado, Oregon, Washington. And there's probably a couple other ones in there that I'm missing. Okay. But you have to systemize stuff when you're going at that scale and doing it that many ways. And these are the tools and tricks and systems that I've done to do exactly what I'm preaching. So it certainly is capable. It's not easy. You have to put some effort into it. But there's no reason, if you do those things and you just follow instructions, that you shouldn't be successful. So if you want to start roofing, it is the easiest way to start a roofing company. I guarantee that. You could either grind and struggle and try and troubleshoot things for a year to maybe be mildly successful, or you can just let us do it. Follow the instructions we outline for you. We have tons of support to help you along the way if you get stuck. And in 30 days, you're going to have a roofing company. That's it. I can't guarantee it's going to be successful. That's on you. But I can guarantee that you're going to have every tool, every resource, and every support behind you doing it, which is why Owens Corning backs the program and is part of it. Like, they literally are a big partner in that program. Sunlight Financial, which is one of the leading home improvement banks in the country, is part of that program. Contractor Hub is a big platform. Thousands of contractors work on that platform. We all came together to build a great program for you. So we want to put our names behind it if we felt like it was going to be something that most people can accomplish, and we wanted to see you win. So it's a great program. Great program. All right, Sarah. Yeah, sign up. Check out billiondollarcontractor.com. If you want to learn more, there's a link there. Take you to the whole page and break down exactly how it works. All right, we got David from Seattle, another Pacific Northwest guy. I like it. He owns a company. I'm not going to share everybody's company names. They do AI, automation, and platforms like GHL. Oh, I'm sorry. With AI, automation, and platforms like GHL, which is Go High Level, coming into the picture, how do you see the role of a contractor owner changing in the future? Ooh, that's a great question. All right. Let me read that one more time. With AI, automation, and platforms like Go High Level coming into the picture, how do you see the role of a contractor/owner changing in the future? What's funny is that So many of my clients are like, hey, I want to get into AI. I want to start automating everything. And there's certainly a time and a place for that. But like the core value of just running a good business remains. Just be a good contractor and just do the stuff that you say you're going to do. And so if AI and automation are going to help you do those things, that's terrific. One of the areas I see them helping a lot is in communication and making sure that we are communicating with our customers and helping with those things. If you think like back in the day, and many contractors still do this, they are like manually project managing the job and calling the customer and seeing what's up. And it's a phenomenal process if you do it. The problem is most contractors are really bad at it, which is why, most contractors don't deliver a great customer experience. So one of the things I love automation for is to be able to communicate with the homeowner on what's happening, especially longer projects like solar. It's a great way to make sure that it actually happens and gets done. And I use it as like a safety mechanism. Like I know the homeowner has gotten some communication from us this week. Even if nobody called, I know that they have that happening. Now, ideally, we call them and we email them, or we call them and we text them. And we have automations that run in place with manual processes. But if everybody got busy this week and everybody was out doing what they needed to do and nobody called the homeowner, that's okay. Like we still know that some communication happened there. And I think that's where it's a great place to put it in. AI, answering services. If you're not using AI right now to answer your out of hours phone calls, or if you don't have a call center that's answering calls or receptionist, and you're missing phone calls, you should never, ever, look at me, you should never, ever, ever be missing phone calls. Not one. Okay? Use AI answering services to pick up 100% of your phone calls. Will everybody like talking to an AI receptionist? No. Will 80% of people convey that to what they need to an AI receptionist? Yes. And it can help sort jobs for you. So if somebody calls in and says, hey, my roof is leaking, I need you out here immediately, it can flag that as an emergency call and alert the right people without it going to some random voicemail box at 2 a.m. Okay? If somebody says, hey, I want to talk to sales, it can create leads and have them talk to sales. So AI, from that standpoint, is phenomenal. Again, it delivers a better customer experience. And it's remarkable. If you've not called a lot of your competition lately, just call them. And you'll be shocked how many people don't answer the call. And you leave a voicemail and they call you back like a week later. It's because they're busy. AI answering is terrific. If that's all you put in your company, you'd be light years away from a customer service standpoint than a lot of your competition is, because a lot of your competition doesn't even answer the phone. So I'd certainly try that. Go High Level is amazing. I use it for my company. I have many contractors that work off the program as well. It is complex. It takes a minute to build out, but I'd say just start very basic. Okay, get your things like email automation in place, get your AI phone system in place. And start there. Don't go too far down the rabbit hole of trying to automate everything because it can be just a massive distraction. Automation's terrific, but sell enough jobs to where you can afford to hire somebody in to go do that work instead of trying to figure out how to learn it all yourself. One of the things that I always try and reflect on when I think about what are the things that I want to learn how to do versus what are the things I want to hire other people out for is what am I good at? And tech is not one of them. What do I want to become good at? Tech isn't one of them. What do I enjoy doing? Tech isn't one of them. If that is you at all, hire somebody. Hire somebody to go build out your high level for you. You can hop on Fiverr and hire Go High Level developers for a pretty cheap amount of money. It is not complex, and it's far cheaper to hire somebody out than trying to learn those skills yourself. Go build a great construction company. Don't build that out. So. How do I see it? How do I see kind of your overall question? How do I see it morphing your role as a contractor owner and changing the future? You as the contractor and the owner are the visionary for your company. You are the standard. You're the guy that says, we're here to be a phenomenal contractor. And so use AI and use automations to deliver that tremendous experience to your customer. That's it. Go deliver a great experience to your customer, and you're going to be okay. AI is not going to come take your job. All right, we got Chris. Owns a home service business in Columbus. My mom lives outside of Columbus, and we're like adopted Buckeye fans. So go Buckeyes. What do you see as the real difference between a contractor who stays stuck at 500 grand versus one who breaks through and gets to 5 million bucks? All right, it is systems. It's all systems, okay? And 500 grand you could do by yourself. Not easy, but you could do it, okay? 5 million you cannot do on your own. You have to have processes and systems in place. And so what ends up happening when you're at 500 grand, it's so funny. I got a contractor right now, like literally we're taking on this journey. And when it's just you, you don't need documentation and systems and processes in place because it's just you and you're kind of like winging it, right? But the second you go to hire somebody else in, they show up to work and they're like, awesome, what do I do? And if everything exists in your head, you're going to be like, you're the bottleneck. There's no system for them to pick up. There's nothing for them to execute on. There's nothing for them to learn from. They literally just have to like follow you around and learn from you. Okay. The easiest thing you can do is just document yourself. And we started this with our client, Brian. Again, very, very similar to what the question is that you're asking. And he we hired him, or he hired us to come in and help him out with this process. And I said, Brian, I want you to just start writing down everything that you do and document your day. Okay, document your whole week. Everything that you do for the week, I want you to just document out. And as you document it, I want you to start thinking about what are the things that I could hand off to somebody else. I don't need to be a part of it. It was things like calling permits in, finalizing designs, calling change orders, pushing the button to fund jobs, right? There's all these like ticky-tack, ordering toilet paper for the office. There's all these things that Brian was doing that we just started documenting and getting off his plate over here. Then it was like, awesome. When you still are going through and doing those processes, and we're getting ready to hire this person, I want you to just shoot a Loom video. If you guys don't know what that is, it's like a screen capture software. It's free to use. Hop on a Google Meet with yourself and just record what it is that you do and start creating a folder of those things. And so he did that for a couple weeks, and then he hired somebody in, and it was like, awesome. Here's the things you have to do. Here's the list. If you go into Google Drive, you'll see a screen recording from me of all the things that are on the list. And I want you just to start doing them. And then he had to track and manage this person. But that took substantially less time than him trying to hand everything off to them manually. He'd been kind of setting that stage for a couple weeks. It doesn't take forever because a lot of those tasks are repetitive. Any big one-off task, I'd recommend you as the owner still handle. But he had all these repetitive tasks he was able to get off his plate and get over to somebody else. And it was super simple for him. Once you start getting those things off your plate, then you can start doing that again. And so the easiest things to get off your plate to begin with are your administrative tasks. If you're at 500 grand, to get your payroll off, get your processing, your permits, like your run-of-the-mill administrative work, get that off your plate. In Brian's situation, that was like 30 hours a week worth of stuff that we just got off his plate. But it wasn't just 30 hours a week. It was also like a mental shift for him. Like he didn't have to worry about that anymore. And now he could go focus on his superpower, which was sales. That's what Brian's really, really good at. And so for right now, Brian's running sales, operations, and admin. We got admin off his plate. Now he's running sales and operations. I need to get operations off his plate. And so he's starting that same process now with operations. And guess what? Because he can focus half his time on sales, before it was a third, now he's focusing half his time on sales. Now we got more sales coming in. Sales are going up, which means now we can hire our admin person. And guess what's going to happen when Brian can focus 100% on sales instead of 50% on sales? Whoop, another giant jump. And that's how you get to 500 or 5 million. Okay. And so you start getting these things off your plate. Eventually, your admin team needs to add another person. Now you got a lot of permits going through. And then your operations team needs more operations people. And your sales team, now he hires a director. And now you become the CEO that's managing your team of people. You become the general, and you have captains that are running these various departments. And that's how you become a $50 or $100 million company. Okay. But start small. Get those mundane, easy tasks off your plate. Step one, get the next ones off your plate and focus on your superpowers and start delegating. You have to delegate. You cannot run a $5 million construction company by yourself. It won't happen. All right, we got two more. Thank you, Chris, by the way, for the question. And again, go Buckeyes. All right, we got Tom in Dallas. He owns a solar company out in Dallas. Love DFW. We can talk all about DFW solar. All right, I've been following your 30-day roofing challenge for someone like me who's already in solar. What's the real upside of adding roofing through your program? So, why should I add roofing to my solar program today? Well, if you don't know the answer to that, Tom, then maybe you shouldn't. Okay, it's okay. You don't have to add more products in to be successful. There are many successful solar-only companies out there. So, if you just want to be a solar-only company, awesome. That's great. Go be the best damn solar company you can be in DFW. You got a big market. You got people that love solar, and you'd probably be fine just to run a great company out there. Okay. If you want more revenue per customer, it's a great place to begin. The reason I told you guys earlier, I didn't start off in roofing. I started off in solar. And I had to get into roofing because at some point, my market was just tapped out. Like we were spending more and more money, but the cost to acquire the customer was going up to an unsustainable place. And it just had to do with we couldn't advertise anymore. We were running so many ads that they just became inefficient. If you think about if you run on the radio, for example, in, I don't know, Fresno, California, there's only so many radio stations in Fresno, California. And then you have to go get some billboards. There's only so many billboards in Fresno, California. There's one freeway, and that's where the billboards are. And the billboards are a little bit less efficient than radio is. So now you got all the billboards, and you got all the radio, and now you got to send out mailers. Well, there's only so many people that live in Fresno that have houses that get mail that don't throw your junk in the mail or junk in the trash, right? And so that's a little bit less efficient than billboards. And so you just run into this point where the diminishing returns that you get on advertising will just eat you alive. And so you have to make every customer worth more money. And that's when we started getting roofing into the mix. I wanted to take the same 100 customers, and instead of selling $3 million worth of stuff on 100 customers, I wanted to sell $5 million worth of stuff on 100 customers. Same 100 customers, 40% more revenue. And that's when you start adding other products in, because those same customers have bad roofs. They need HVAC. We got in fencing because we showed up at customers' houses and their fencing was all jacked up. They're like, oh, yeah, I've got a bunch of, the list never ends. I got to deal with this fence out here. And we were like, cool, maybe we'll get into fencing. So all those things make your cost per customer go up, which, by the way, when you're only selling $20,000 or whatever it is per customer for you, and now you're selling $40,000 worth of stuff per customer, you can pay a lot more money to acquire that same customer because you have so much more margin built into the job, which means you can now advertise even more. You can get even more customers in. You have more margin overall. So it's a funny thing that happens. And roofing is just a very easy product to add in because you're already talking about the roof. You're already on the roof. And most of your customers want to make sure they have a good roof before they put solar panels up there anyways. So you're actually helping your customers solve more problems and making a bunch more money in doing it. And for most solar companies, it's a super easy product to add in because you're already there looking at it and talking about it anyways. If you said, hey, I want to get into water filtration right now, is a market that a lot of people are talking about and looking to get into, For me, that's not a very easy handoff. Like, hey, I see you're looking at solar. Let's talk about your water system. They just don't work together the same way that roofing does. And so roofing is a very easy product to add in. And so that'd be one great reason to do it. I will also tell you that there's just something incredibly wonderful about building a great roof for people. I think everybody in America deserves to live under a great roof and live in a home that they feel is safe. They're not worried about mold. They're not worried about water coming in the living room. They're not worried about, putting some total Band-Aid cheapo roof up there that breaks in a couple years. And for me, it's very important that every home has a great roof and that every homeowner is able to put a great roof on their home. And that's just a mission that I have in my life. I don't know. If you had asked me 30 years ago if that was going to be my mission in life, no. But you really are helping and impacting families by giving them a great roof. And I feel very strongly about that. So if you want to build a better community for the folks there in Dallas, if you want to provide, and Dallas is a great roofing market, you also have a lot of shady roofers in Dallas. And so if you want to be a great contractor that builds great homes for your customers, builds great shelter for them, and fulfills that very basic human need, and you want to make a bunch more money in the process, roofing's a no-brainer. So your question was like, what's the real upside of adding roofing? I guess I'd ask you, what's the real downside of adding roofing? Like, what is the thing that would turn you away from it? And if your answer is simply because I hate roofing and I don't want to be a part of it, then don't be a part of it. That's okay. There's lots of things I don't like. And one of the great things about being an entrepreneur is that you get to decide what you want to be a part of and what you don't want to be a part of. So if you don't want to be part of roofing, that's all right. Don't be a part of it. All right. Final one. We got Jessica from Denver. She's the VP of Operations. All right. We got an ops folks, a couple of them here, which is cool. Looks like they do exteriors. And when you were just starting out, what mistakes did you find yourself repeating? And how do you help business owners like me break those cycles now? All right. I talked about a lot of these kind of as we went through today. But when you're brand new, like, you just got to be scrappy. Like, there is no, I talked about it earlier with the 30-day roofing launch challenge. Like, you're starting a new company. Like, it takes just a certain amount of like blood, sweat, and tears to get that thing going. But then at some point, you will have to shift into, how do I make this bigger than myself? And I think for most brand new people starting off, they kind of get those two confused. I see this somewhat often. You either stay in grind mode forever and never start thinking about, how do I actually scale this thing? How do I make it bigger than myself? How do I work myself out of the business? And by the way, if you ever want to sell your company one day, you can't be the thing that holds it all together. Because, like, what if we take you out of the business and you're the guy that sells, I'm sorry, Jessica, you're the lady that sells everything. You deal with all the marketing, you deal with all the payroll, you build all the projects. And Jessica's like, I want to sell my company one day. It's like, awesome. What's this place look like without Jessica here? Well, nothing happens without Jessica here. Your company's worthless. Like, it's worth the trucks that you have and maybe the leads you haven't sold, but the company itself is really not worth anything because Jessica is the company. So they either stay in grind mode forever until they one day try and sell and realize that they have a company that's actually worthless, or they try and automate so heavily on the front end that nothing ever happens. I had a company that had hired me in to do some work with them, and they were trying to get into roofing for like 6 months. 6 months, and they didn't sell a single roof. They're like, we can't figure this out. And so I got in there and we were looking at things, and it was like, wow, they had all these beautiful dashboards and beautiful automations and these wonderful email sequences that we're going to fire and phenomenal looking proposals. Everything was buttoned up. And the guy that owned the company had a background where he had actually sold and co-founded a company that went publicly traded and was worth, it was over $1 billion market cap. And, but the problem was that he forgot that, like, pure just grit that you have to have at the very beginning. So when you're just starting out, your question is, hey, I'm just starting out. What mistakes did you find yourself repeating? I think it's just something I see repeated a lot, which is when you're brand new, it's just going to suck. Like, you're going to have to grind it out. You're going to have to get gritty. You're not going to know all the answers. Strip everything down to the bare basics of what you need and just get going. And then at some point, you need to start thinking about hiring more people. But get to $500,000 a year first, and then think about that. I think it was Chris earlier said, hey, I want to get, I'm at 500. How do I get to 5 million? That's a whole different set of problems than how do I get from 0 to 500,000. 0 to 500,000 is just grit and grinding it out. It's why in the 30-day roofing challenge, we focus on one product, one platform, one sales process, and one loan. That's all. Like, we just stripped it down. So let's make it as easy as possible so that people can just focus on the grit of pushing this thing out and getting momentum with it. And then we'll show you how to sell 500 roofs through systems and automations and all that good stuff. But I got to get you to 5 first. We can't sell 500 without getting to 5. And you're in the same boat. If you want to be a $5 million contractor one day, guess what? You got to get to 500,000 first. And that is just gritting it out and pushing like hell to make it happen. So anything that's not related to you selling a job, bringing in new customers, or collecting revenue, get off your plate. None of that matters right now. Don't focus on your business cards, your branding, your colors, your website. None of that shit matters. You either getting customers, making sales, or delivering products and collecting cash. That's it. That's all that matters right now. Once you get off the ground and get going, then you can focus on that stuff. Momentum's incredibly underrated. Most people don't want to talk about it. But if you think about a big boulder that's sitting in front of you, there's just an incredible amount of grit and grunt and sweat and blood and tears and mud and dirt that's required just to get that thing turned over the slightest little bit. And everybody's watching the boulder and they're like, wow, Jessica's putting all this work in and it's not moving and it's not going anywhere. But they don't see that all that force is building up and eventually the boulder rotates one. And once it rotates that little bit, guess what? As long as you keep pushing, it gets a little easier and a little easier and a little easier. And once that boulder is moving, now it's got some momentum behind it. You still keep pushing, but it's tremendously easier than it was at the very beginning when it was dead stopped and stuck. And that's where you're at right now. So just keep pushing like crazy and keep putting your shoulder behind it. All right. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate it. All right. We're at 1 hour and 20 minutes, which is crazy. So if you're still here, thank you. Thank you so much for everybody that wrote in this week. Thank you. My goal is to have this be helpful for you and just to help you grow your business. That's why we started the company, is to help great contractors grow. If you would like to see what we do, go to billiondollarcontractor.com. We have all the info there for you, what it looks like to work with us, the programs that we offer, partners, all that good stuff. If you would love to submit a question in, I'd love to answer it for you. Go to billiondollarcontractor.com/questions. Do the little backslash questions and put your name in, where you're from, what you're looking to do, and we will make sure we get it answered for you. Until next week, I'll catch you all later. Steve Huber is signing out. Thanks, everybody. Catch you then.